Hey guys, tonight we sneak aboard a Roman slave ship, not as a passenger, not even as crew, but as a chained up captive deep below deck. The smell hits first. It's a rank mix of sea salt, human waste, old wood, and despair. You can barely move your legs. Someone is snoring beside you. Another person is shivering so hard the whole bench creaks. Good luck surviving a day in here. Most didn't. You're flat on your back, lying on damp wooden planks smeared with straw and old blood. There's no window, just blackness pressing against your eyelids even when you open them. You can't tell if it's night or day, but you know one thing, the ship is moving. You feel every rise and fall of the hull as it crests the waves. Water sloshes somewhere nearby, but you're below the waterline. If the ship sinks, you drown before anyone on deck even sneezes. The other bodies around you are still breathing, mostly. Men, women, even a few teenagers, all crammed together in rows like sacks of grain. Your arms ache from being locked in position. The shackles bite into your skin. You're pretty sure the man on your right wet himself hours ago. But you can't blame him. The ship doesn't stop for dignity. Your stomach growls. Not because it's morning or night, you have no idea what time it is, but because yesterday, or what you thought was yesterday, you barely got a mouthful of food. Your head pounds. The air is so thin and stale, you feel like you're breathing in other people's sweat. Above you, boots slam on wood. Voices shout in Latin. You don't speak it fluently, but you've picked up some things. That's the get ready shout. Then comes the sliding sound of a hatch opening. A blade of light stabs downward, making everyone flinch. Dust particles swirl in the air. Then the ladder drops with a clatter. Two Remang men descend. One wears an iron helmet with a red brush on top. The other carries a leather whip, coiled loosely like a hungry snake. They don't look angry. They don't look kind either. Just efficient. They shout at you to sit up. You try, your joints crack. Your vision swims. You feel like a beetle flipped on its back. Someone next to you moves too slow. A quick crack from the whip changes that. The Raman doesn't aim to injure, just enough sting to remind you who owns your spine today. One guard starts checking the rows, counting heads, inspecting faces. He pauses at a man with blood crusted near his nose and nudges him with his boot. No response. He shrugs and moves on. That's one fewer portion of slop they'll have to prepare. The dead man will be dumped at sea soon. No burial rites. No coins for Karen, just splash, silence, and forget. A woman coughs uncontrollably nearby. The sound echoes, harsh and wet. One guard mutters something and pulls out a piece of cloth soaked in vinegar. He presses it to his face like it helps. Maybe it does. You wouldn't know. Your nose gave up hours ago. You hear one of the guards say something about 2 days to Ostia. That's the port near Rome. You've never been to Rome. You never wanted to. You definitely didn't want to arrive this way. As the guards retreat, the hatch slams shut again. The light vanishes. Your eyes struggle to readjust, but it doesn't matter. All you see is darkness. Your legs are numb. Your wrists feel raw. Your neck itches from lice, and when you try to scratch it, the chain pulls tight and you give up. Somewhere near the front, a man hums a tune. It's soft sad from somewhere in North Africa, maybe. You imagine him as a father once, maybe a fisherman. Historians still argue whether these ships grouped slaves by language to prevent rebellion or mixed them on purpose to avoid communication. Either way, no one here can speak freely. That humming is all you get. The boat rocks sharply. A few people slide into each other. Someone curses in Greek. Another laughs, just once, low and hollow. You try not to picture what comes next. You think of dry land, of home, of whatever free used to feel like. And then something scurries over your foot. A rat. You jerk, almost twisting your ankle in the iron ring. The rat vanishes into the shadows, fat and bold. It's been living well. You? Not so much. The moment the hatch opens again, it's brighter, too brighter. Your eyes squint against the sudden daylight as they shout something about going up. You barely have time to stand before someone grabs your chain and tugs hard. Your legs scream in protest. The stairs are steep, wet. You stumble twice on the way up. No one waits. You emerge onto the deck, and the air hits you like a slap. It's not fresh, but it's not the sour stew of breath and sweat you've been inhaling below. It carries salt, sun, and tar. A gull screeches overhead. For a second, just 1 second, you feel a breeze on your cheek and almost forget. Then comes the shouting, Roman voices barking orders. The deck is chaos. Slaves move in lines, hauling rope, dragging barrels, mopping blood from a cracked plank near the railing. Someone cries out in pain as a whip lashes behind you. You don't turn around. They assign you to the oar team. You are now officially muscle. Your job? Sit, pull, repeat, until your arms stop working. Then someone else replaces you. The rowing bench is sticky with sweat. The wood is worn smooth from years of bodies pressed against it. You sit shoulder to shoulder with others. The iron collar bites into your neck. A drum begins to beat, slow, then faster. A whip cracks in time with it, more metronome than punishment. You grab the long oar. It's heavier than it looks. When they say pull, they mean it. You and 4 others must heave it together in rhythm, or else it jars your wrists like hitting a wall. The first few strokes knock the wind out of you. The next few test your back. After that, your brain shuts off and your body just obeys. You row, and row, and row. 30 minutes? An hour? There's no clock here. Just the drum, just the grunts, just the sea rolling endlessly. One guy next to you pukes. No one reacts. The vomit lands between his feet and gets trampled into the planks. Another man pees himself without a word. You realize this is normal. It's not shame. It's just what happens when you can't leave your station. Somewhere up top, the Roman overseers are talking about cargo. That might be you. It might be wine, might be both. You listen in as best you can. One of them jokes that if the slaves die, it's cheaper to replace them than feed them more. Another laughs. Historians still argue whether this was standard Roman practice or just the worst of the worst. You grit your teeth and row. The sun rises higher. The back of your neck burns. Your lips crack. You wish for water. You do not ask. Eventually, a shout breaks the rhythm. Stop. You freeze. Your arms shake from the sudden stillness. Your muscles twitch. The oar settles with a soft splash against the waves. A few overseers walk along the benches. One pours water into a shared bowl. You get a sip, just one. It tastes like tin and hope. Then someone slips. He's a young man, dark-skinned, skinny. His hands slide off the oar, and he collapses forward. The drum keeps beating, but he doesn't move. A Roman approaches, says something coldly. When the boy doesn't rise, the Roman shrugs. Then he hits him hard. The first blow gets a murmur, the second, silence. By the third, you look away. Not out of fear, but because you know they're watching you, waiting to see who else hesitates. The boy is eventually dragged off, unconscious or worse. The bench doesn't stay empty for long. Another chained body fills it. They always have more. You go back to rowing. A few moments later, a gust of wind shifts the sails. One of them flaps too hard, and a pulley system breaks. A Roman curses. A guard grabs you and another man. You're yanked off the bench and ordered to help fix it. You have no idea what you're doing. You try anyway. Your arms ache, but you pull rope, lift canvas, follow shouted instructions. The mast groans. The sail billows again. Crisis avoided. The guard looks at you, pauses, then punches your shoulder, not to hurt, just to say, not bad. A strange moment. Then he turns and leaves. No praise, no rest. Just a return to the bench. You sit again, you row again. And as the sun sinks lower, you wonder if it's still the same day. You think the worst part is behind you, that the rowing, the thirst, the sunburn must be the limit. But then comes breakfast, or what passes for it. A bucket is passed down. Not clean, not fresh. A dented metal pail with something gray sloshing at the bottom. You're handed a scoop. It smells like old barley left in rainwater for a week. Someone calls it pulse, a Roman grain mush usually meant for soldiers, but this version has no herbs, no oil, no warmth. Just wet gravel for the soul. You try to eat. It sticks to your teeth. Someone coughs it back into the bucket. You pretend you didn't see that. Hunger beats dignity again. The sun has fully risen now. Your back is blistered. Your eyes squint constantly. A man next to you has gone silent since last night. You're not sure if he's asleep or fading. Either way, he doesn't move. Another round of rowing is coming. You can hear the drum again, but fainter. Today it feels crueler, like a joke someone keeps telling even after nobody laughs. But first comes the head count. A Raman walks past each row. He doesn't speak, just looks, makes marks on a wax tablet. You count 6 empty spaces, maybe more. That's 6 fewer mouths to feed. And 6 names no one will remember. As the roll ends, one of the overseers orders the deck to be scrubbed. That means you. You're pulled forward, handed a rag soaked in vinegar, and pointed toward a puddle of dried blood and fish guts near the galley. You scrub, and gag, and scrub again. A Roman soldier steps around you, spits into the sea, and tosses you a look like you're barely alive. Which is funny, because he's not entirely wrong. After the cleanup, they push you toward the main mast. A net of ropes needs tightening. You work with 2 others. One's a Gaul with a broken nose. The other's a Syrian who mutters prayers between each knot. Your fingers blister within minutes. Rope burns stripe your palms. The mast creaks like it might topple any second. You don't speak. You don't need to. You just survive. There's a yell near the bow. Everyone freezes. A commotion. Someone's trying to jump overboard. You can't see it clearly, but you hear the splashing, then the panic, then silence, followed by a cold voice from above. He was chained, someone says. Let him sink, and they do. You watch as the ship sails forward like nothing happened. A man died, and the sea swallowed him without a ripple. Historians still debate whether Roman ships kept slaves shackled all day to prevent this exact thing. Judging from today's evidence, it worked most of the time, but not always. The next task is unloading a crate of amphorae. Tall, heavy jars of oil and wine, you're chosen. Your knees wobble as you carry one. If it breaks, you're whipped. If it spills, you're whipped. If you fall, they might not even bother. You manage it, just barely. By midday, the heat becomes a second enemy. The deck scalds your feet. You feel your heartbeat in your ears. You pray for shade. There isn't any. One of the guards, one with a crooked smile, throws water on your back. For fun, it hisses against your sunburn. You flinch. He laughs. You don't. Your shift ends, if you can call it that. You're sent below deck again. The ladder feels longer this time. The heat doesn't vanish. It clings to the wood, the walls, the sweat of 100 bodies still trapped below. You collapse into your old space. Someone else is missing. The air feels tighter. You wonder if it's your mind breaking or if the ship is sinking slowly, soul first. Someone begins humming again. You listen. You close your eyes. You wait. Your body is sore. Not in the way a tired worker feels sore, but in the way something half-broken still holds together out of habit. You wake to a boot hitting the side of your ribs. Not hard, but firm. Time to move. You're herded upstairs again. The sun's already up. The salt wind stings every blister. The wooden steps are slick with sweat and slime. You climb them slower this time. Every muscle complains. Today, the deck smells different. Less of blood, more of spoiled fish. You glance over and see a crate has cracked open. Flies swarm it. No one rushes to clean. They separate you from the others. You're ordered to join a team hauling water barrels from the stern. These barrels aren't for you. They're for the crew, which means they matter. You're told not to drop them. Then threatened, in case you didn't understand the first part, the barrel is taller than your hip and half your weight. You and another slave heave it together. Your fingers dig into the rope handles. Your back protests. You walk with tiny steps so you don't trip. If you fall, the barrel rolls. If it rolls, you're punished. You make it, just barely. The water sloshes loudly inside. You try not to think about how little of it will ever reach you. You hear someone cough behind you. That wet, rattling kind of cough. You don't look back. You've learned not to. Once the barrels are in place, the next task comes without pause. You're assigned to clean the ship's latrine area. A hole over the side. A rope for balance. No privacy, no safety. You scrub with a rag dipped in seawater. The smell makes your eyes water. You try to focus on the wood grain beneath your knees. A guard strolls past, chewing something. He drops a bit near you. You don't know if it's deliberate. You don't pick it up. He notices, chuckles, keeps walking. Behind you, a shout. A fight breaks out between two slaves, maybe over a cup, maybe over space. One gets knocked down. The other scrambles away. The guards watch, amused, until someone bleeds. Then they step in. The bleeding man gets dragged away. No one says a word. Historians still argue whether Roman ships encouraged these fights to keep captives distracted. Divide and control, as one ancient proverb said. Judging from this, maybe it worked. Your next job is below deck again. You're sent with a bucket of pitch to seal leaks in the lower hall. The space is even tighter. You crouch beside another man already working. He's blind in one eye, doesn't speak. Just hands you a tool and nods. You scrape old pitch, smear new layers. It's sticky, stinks of tar and smoke. The air is thick and hot. You sweat so much your tunic clings like another skin. The boards groan as the ship tilts. Somewhere nearby, you hear water dripping. Not good. The blind-eyed man points. You plug it. Not well, but enough. A rat scurries past your knee. This time, you don't flinch. You're learning. When the job ends, your arms are black with pitch. Your nose burns. Your throat scratches. But you're allowed a moment to sit. Just sit. No talking, no eating, just silence. You hear someone whispering a name over and over, like a prayer or a memory. Then the drum returns, slow, inevitable, rowing time again. You climb the stairs slower than ever. You don't even look up. You find your seat. You grip the oar. You pull and pull and pull until your arms forget they ever had another purpose. The sun is lower now, not quite evening, but the light softens into that golden haze that makes everything look deceptively calm. You know better. Your back aches. Your palms are raw. You've lost track of how many shifts you've rowed. It's all one endless loop of motion and heat and noise. You want to sleep, but the deck is never still, and your nerves are too frayed to let you drift. Suddenly, a new sound. Shouting from the crow's nest. The tone is urgent. Roman voices answer from above. You're not sure what they're saying, but every tone is sharp. The rhythm changes. Someone yells, brace. Not to the slaves, no one warns you. But you feel the shift in the ship. It turns, hard. The oars dig unevenly. Men stumble, caught off guard. One man's arm twists between oars. You hear a crack. Then silence. For a heartbeat, nothing moves. The oarsmen freeze. The drum stops. Then it begins again, only this time faster. You're rowing again, but now in chaos. The water churns as the ship pushes harder. You hear the word pirate yelled more than once. Pirates, that's not good news. Roman slave ships are valuable. not just for their cargo, but for the gold and wine they usually carry. If pirates are near, everyone's in danger, especially you. There's another crash. This one louder. You see a streak of something fly past the sail. An arrow, then a second. You're no longer rowing. Now you're a sitting duck. One guard shouts for shields. Another pulls you off the bench and orders you below. You hesitate for half a second, then run. Back into the hold. The same stench, the same darkness, but now with panic. Slaves press against walls. No one speaks. Some whisper prayers, some cry. One man bites his lip until it bleeds. There's a loud thud above. Something hits the deck, boots thunder. Then a scream short, sharp, and cut off. You hold your breath. The fighting above continues. Clangs of metal, yells in Latin and something else Greek. Phoenician? You can't tell. Historians still argue about the extent of pirate threats during Rome's maritime dominance. Some say piracy was exaggerated to justify naval expansion. Others insist it was an everyday nightmare. Right now, it feels very real. Another thud. Then, the trapdoor opens. Everyone flinches. A Roman soldier, bloody but alive, throws down a sack. He yells that anyone who moves will be killed. The hatch closes again. You hear the lock slide, so you wait. The fighting drags on. Minutes? Hours? You don't know. At some point, it stops. Silence returns, but not the peaceful kind. The heavy, uncertain kind. Eventually, the hatch creaks open again. This time, no soldier appears. Just a younger crewman, pale, shaking. He says nothing, drops a bucket of water near the ladder, then vanishes. You wait. No orders come. You wonder, who won? Then, above, footsteps. A new voice shouts in a language you don't recognize. Heavy accents, angry tones. Not Roma. You're not sure what that means. But it means change. And in your world, change is dangerous. You don't sleep. No one does. The night passes in silence and shallow breathing. Every sound from above is a cause for alarm. A footstep, a creak, the splash of water. Each one might mean the end, or a new beginning. Neither seems better than the other. By dawn, the tension shifts. It's not relief. Just a new routine forming, a different rhythm. You're pulled from the hold again, but not by a Roman this time. The man who drags you up is tall, lean, sun-darkened. His tunic is stitched with patterns you don't recognize. He speaks something that sounds like Greek, but harsher, sharper. You don't understand. You nod anyway. You're placed in a new line. The ship looks different. Bodies are being moved. Some crewmen are missing. Some faces are new. You realize the ship wasn't sunk, it was taken. You're no longer Roman property. Now you belong to someone else. A few slaves whisper about Cilician's pirates from the southern coast of Asia Minor, famous for their raids. Feared for how they treated prisoners. Some say they sell them back to Rome, others say worse. Historians still argue whether Cilician pirates had networks that rivaled Roman trade routes, or if their legend grew in the telling. Either way, they're real enough for your wrists to still be chained. You're ordered to clean, again. The deck is stained with blood. You don't know if it's Roman or pirate. It doesn't matter. You scrub it anyway. Mid-morning brings heat. The sun bakes the planks. Your back bends like a bowstring as you work. A guard watches, different uniforms, same blank stare. Someone gets caught stealing a bit of bread. The pirates don't whip him. They laugh, then toss him overboard. Not as punishment, just because they can. You watch his body bob once, then vanish. There's no drum now, no worth. The ship moves slowly, sails catching the wind. The pirates aren't in a rush. You're told to move crates. You obey. You always obey now. One crate cracks open. Inside, not wine or oil, but small statues. Gods and household spirits. Roman Lares wrapped in cloth. You pause, unsure whether to be surprised or disappointed. A pirate sees you looking. He sneers, picks up one of the figures, and tosses it into the sea. You keep moving. By afternoon, the ship changes direction. You see a coastline, jagged, dry. Rocky cliffs and sparse trees, nothing welcoming. You wonder if this is your destination or just another stop. Someone taps your shoulder. A fellow slave, older, eyes yellowed from sun or illness. He whispers that this crew trades humans like cargo, that you'll be brought ashore, lined up, examined. You nod. You don't ask what happens after that, because you already know. Evening comes. You're fed. A crust of something dry and a gulp of water. It feels like a feast. You chew slowly, savoring even the crumbs. Then you're locked below deck again. The air is no better. The shadows still press close, but the mood has shifted. No one talks of Rome now, just of what comes next. The morning begins not with a drum or a shout, but with the sound of ropes creaking. The anchor drops. Chains rattle through wood and echo across the hull. You jolt awake before you even open your eyes. The ship has stopped. You're herded up again, blinking in harsh light. The deck is quieter than usual. No jokes. No yelling. Just the slow, deliberate movements of pirates preparing to dock. You catch a glimpse of land. Sharp cliffs with narrow trails winding up through sun-bleached stone. There is no harbor, just a stretch of jagged rock where smaller boats wait to carry goods and people to shore. One of those people is you. They unshackle your feet. It's the first time you've stood without chains since boarding. You almost fall. Your legs don't remember freedom. You're loaded onto a rowboat with 5 others. No one speaks. The pirate rowing doesn't look at you. The water is clear, deceptively calm. Beneath it, you see dark shapes, rocks, maybe fish. Maybe something worse. When you reach the shore, you're not allowed to rest. You're ordered up the cliff path. It's steep, gravelly, punishing. You slip. A guard catches you with the butt of a spear. Not hard. Just enough to remind you that slipping isn't allowed. Halfway up, your breath burns in your chest. Sweat stings your eyes. Someone behind you vomits from the heat. The group keeps moving. At the top, you find the market. It's not what you imagined. No cages, no shackles. Just rows of tents, tables, and chairs beneath patched cloth awnings. Merchants sip wine and inspect wares. They laugh, trade, and argue in half a dozen languages. The pirates lead you to a corral. Wooden rails, shade if you're lucky. You wait. Hours pass. One by one, others are called. Taken to a tent. Evaluated. Some return. Some don't. A merchant approaches. Middle-aged. Robed too clean for this heat. He prods your arm, checks your teeth. Makes a noise that might be approval or boredom. He turns away. Another man, bald and scarred, gestures for you to follow. You do. He doesn't chain you, just watches. You enter a large tent. Inside, a table, a chair, a ledger. You're told to stand. The bald man writes something down. You don't ask what. You know it's about you, your weight, your age, your value. Historians still argue whether pirate-slave auctions followed Roman pricing systems or invented their own. Judging by the look the man gives you, you're not worth much. You're assigned a mark, a simple number painted on your forearm. It stings. The paint smells like vinegar and ash. They give you bread, water, then tie a red cord around your wrist. You've been selected. Not sold yet, but close. That night you sleep in a canvas shelter. It flaps in the wind. The ground is dry and cracked. You lie on it anyway. Someone hums nearby, not the same tune, but close. You close your eyes and try not to remember the sea. The next morning, you wake with a crust of dust on your lips. The wind has dried your skin and your mouth feels like it's been packed with sand. There's no bell, no horn. Just the sound of someone clapping their hands and shouting something unintelligible. You sit up slowly. Your muscles ache from sleeping on stone. The red cord is still on your wrist. The mark on your arm has smeared, a faint shadow of ink and sweat, but it still means the same thing. You're next. You're lined up with others under the mid-morning sun. There's no ceremony, just buyers walking past, eyeing bodies like ripe or rotten fruit. One tuts and moves on. Another laughs when he sees a tattoo on a man's back. No one laughs with him. A boy next to you faints from the heat. He's dragged into the shade, dumped like a sack of barley. No one checks if he wakes. Your turn comes. A man in a long white robe with a shaved head approaches. He smells of citrus and vinegar. He taps your knees, checks your hands, lifts your chin. He says something to his companion, who nods and scribbles. You try to stand straight. You fail. Your legs shake too hard. Still the man nods again, coins clink. And just like that, you've been sold. They don't announce it. There's no scroll or contract for you to see. But the red cord is removed, and the man gestures for you to follow. You do. He leads you away from the camp, away from the pirates, down another dry path into a grove of olive trees. His villa is modest stone walls, red tiles, a columned courtyard. Servants sweep in silence. A small fountain burbles. You're given water, real water, cold, clean. It shocks your teeth. Then you're handed a tunic. Rough wool, but better than rags. The man points to a corner and says something softly. You realize this isn't a punishment post, it's a household. You are now a domestic slave. Historians still argue whether household slavery was truly less brutal than field or galley labor. Some say it offered safety and routine. Others say it simply dressed the cage with cushions. Your tasks begin quickly. You clean the garden. You carry water. You sweep stone floors. You learn not to look the master in the eye unless spoken to. You learn the names of his 2 dogs, his cook, his daughter, and the senator who visits too often. You are not beaten. You are not chained, but you are still owned. At night, you sleep in a storeroom beside a sack of lentils. You dream of rowing. And you wake sweating, arms still moving in rhythm. Days blend together. Your hands grow calloused. Your back adjusts to the stoop of sweeping, carrying, bowing. You learn the rhythm of the household, the hours for meals, for silence, for standing by the doorway in case the master needs a pitcher of wine or a servant to scold. The master doesn't speak to you often. When he does, it's with the same tone he uses for his dogs. His daughter, maybe 12, watches you with curiosity but says nothing. You avoid her eyes. You avoid all eyes. One day, a guest arrives, a Roman senator in a deep crimson cloak. His sandals are stitched with gold. He smells of myrrh and salt. You're ordered to bring water to his chambers. As you enter, he barely glances up. Numidian? He asks. You pause, unsure if you're allowed to answer. You nod. Good bones, he mutters. They last longer. You lower your head and leave. Later, you overhear a conversation in the courtyard. The senator is offering to buy you. He thinks you'd make a fine stable hand, or rower, or perhaps a guard with some training. The master laughs. Says he needs you to scrub floors, not ride horses. The senator insists. Coins are discussed. Again. That night you sleep less soundly. By morning, you're ordered to pack a sack. The master tells you nothing, but you're handed to the senator's retinue like a parcel. They don't chain you. You still don't run. The new villa is bigger, louder. There are more servants, more guards, more rules. You're assigned to the stables. Horses are loud, unpredictable, but they don't insult you. They don't demand you smile. They don't care if you're tired. You like them more than people. Your job is to feed, brush, and clean. Every hoofprint in the sand is yours to smooth. Every pile of manure yours to remove. Historians still argue how slaves coped with transitions between owners. Some claim the disruption offered moments of hope. Others say it only deepened the fracture of identity. For you, it just means learning new names, new shadows, new corners to disappear into. At dusk, the senator walks through the stables. He pets one of the mares, then looks at you. You'll be tested tomorrow, he says. You bow. He leaves. Tested for what? You sleep beside a bale of hay. The horses shift in the dark. You hear one snort. Another kicks a wall. You try not to imagine the test. You try not to imagine anything at all. Morning comes fast. You're shaken awake before the sun rises. A servant throws a tunic at you cleaner than usual, still rough. You put it on without question. You're led out past the stables, past the kitchen smoke and groggy workers, to a walled courtyard. Sand covers the floor. There's a wooden post in the center and racks of training weapons lining the edges. A man stands waiting. Not the senator, but someone leaner, with scars crisscrossing his arms like a stitched-up net. His expression is unreadable. He points at a short wooden staff. You pick it up. No one explains. He moves toward you and strikes. You barely block it in time. The test has begun. It's not a duel. Not even training. It's an evaluation. He watches how you move, how you react, whether you flinch, whether you give up. You try not to think. Just act. You remember rhythm. You remember force. Rowing was movement. This is survival. After a dozen exchanges, he lowers his weapon, nods once. Leaves, no words. By midday, you're sent to the edge of the estate, a guardhouse, a training field. You're given a shield, a dull blade. You're now part of the senator's familia gladiatoria. That's right, his private fighting crew. Historians note that not all gladiators were condemned criminals. Some were trained slaves, privately owned, displayed at feasts and festivals. You're not being sent to the Colosseum, not yet, but maybe one day. Training is brutal. No murmur, no mercy. You're hit more than you swing. Your ribs bruise. Your knees buckle. You sweat until your vision blurs, but you endure. That night, you collapse on a straw mat in the corner of a wooden shed. Two others share the space. One doesn't talk. The other won't stop. He tells you about his old master, about a show in Capua, about how if you kill clean and die slow, the crowd loves you. You don't know if that comforts you. The next day brings more drills, more bruises. You're learning footwork, timing, pain. The trainer doesn't praise, doesn't punish. He just watches. That evening, during dinner, a girl brings food, bread, lentils, a piece of fruit. You hesitate. She smiles once, then walks away. You eat in silence, then wash your hands, then sleep. Tomorrow will be worse. You can already feel it. You wake before the sun, not because they told you to, but because your body now lives by the rhythm of drills and pain. Your arms throb with the memory of wooden strikes. Your back is stiff from the straw mat. You stretch slowly. There's no comfort in it. Training begins with footwork. Circles in the dirt, moving in silence, always watching. Then it's shields. How to brace, how to absorb, how to deflect without breaking your wrist. You're not taught to win. You're taught not to die. The trainer adds weight, sandbags across your shoulders. Heavier shields, dull swords made of bronze instead of wood. You feel your muscles protesting. You ignore them. Midday brings a heat that cracks the dirt beneath your feet. You're allowed a single gulp of water, then it's back to drills. Someone collapses. Not you, not yet. The man gasps on the ground, his fingers clawing at the air. The trainer checks his pulse with 2 fingers, says nothing, and moves on. Later, you carry him out with another man. He's not dead, but he won't fight again. His spot is filled before the hour ends. Historians still debate how gladiator training camps balance cruelty with investment. Training a slave took time, but breaking one wasted coin. Still, the line between endurance and destruction was razor thin. You're beginning to learn where that line lies. That evening, the senator visits the training yard. He watches silently as you and three others run through routines. You don't know what he's looking for. You only know that you don't want him to nod. A nod means something worse. He nods. You're chosen. Not for the arena. Not yet. For the demonstration dinner. You clean yourself with cold water and scrape off layers of dust and blood. You're given a fresh tunic black, tight at the shoulders. A servant hands you a wooden practice blade. Notched and chipped, but not deadly, you're led to the villa's garden. Lanterns hang from olive branches. Nobles recline on couches. Wine flows. Laughter rings. A makeshift ring has been cleared in the center. You step into it. Your opponent is a Gaul. Massive, blonde, covered in faded scars. He winks at you. The senator claps. The crowd quiets. The fight begins. It isn't scripted. It isn't safe. He swings wide. You duck. You counter. You miss. He laughs. You don't. The blades clash. The audience roars. You bleed from your cheek. He limps from your last strike. After 7 minutes, the senator raises a hand. Enough. The Gaul grins, slaps your shoulder. You almost fall from the force. You bow and step back. That night, you eat meat for the first time in months. It tastes like dirt and glory. The demonstration changes everything. The next day, your meals are larger. A second piece of bread appears at lunch. You're given a blanket for your sleeping mat. No one says why. But you know, you've become an investment. Training intensifies. Now there are sparring matches every afternoon, watched by the senator or one of his guests. Sometimes they bet. Sometimes they just drink and shout advice, like you're a dog chasing goats. You're paired with the Gaul again. He still grins, still hits hard, but now he whispers between strikes. Don't block that. Swing higher. Fake the limp. He's helping you. Because the crowd loves a story, you're the underdog. They want to see you bleed a little, then win. And sometimes you do. One evening, the senator invites a visiting magistrate. You recognize him. He once walked past your slave line at the pirate auction. Now he laughs at your footwork and claps when you dodge a blow. You wonder if he even remembers. You're brought into the house once briefly to serve wine during a feast. You wear a dark red sash. Your hands don't shake. No one addresses you, but you catch the gaze of the cook's daughter through the kitchen door. She mouths something. Are you okay? You don't answer, because you're not. At night, the Gaul talks about Rome, about the amphitheater near the river. Not the Colosseum, but one smaller. He says the senator might send you both there. Crowd's not as rich, he says, but they scream just the same. You ask him if he wants to fight. He says no. Then why train so hard? Because I want to die with purpose, he says and rolls over. You don't sleep much after that. The next week, a new recruit arrives. Young, nervous, skin still unscarred. You're told to show him how to move. You teach him the stance, the grip, where to point his eyes, how to fall without cracking a rib. He thanks you after. Calls you brother. You nod, but you know better. In this place, brothers don't last. Summer burns everything. The stones in the yard radiate heat before dawn. Your tunic clings to your skin like a second punishment. You no longer count days. You count bruises. You count the number of meals since your last good one. You count how many sparring partners haven't come back. One morning, the Gaul doesn't show up for training. You ask a stable boy where he is. The boy shrugs. Says he was taken early. Special match, he adds. You never see him again. That night, the trainer doesn't speak. Just motions for everyone to begin drills. His eyes are tired. His steps slow. He misses the Gaul too, but he doesn't say it. You fight a new opponent. He's aggressive, loud. You lose a tooth. You win the match. They give you soup with meat that night. It tastes of salt and bone. You don't complain. The senator calls you in the next morning. His robe is stiff with embroidery. His sandals shine. You've done well, he says. You bow. He continues, there's a festival next week. A private one. I want you to open it. You nod, though you don't understand what that means. He smiles faintly. Don't die quickly. He walks away. You're given better food, more sleep. A massage for your back. It's not kindness. It's polishing the blade before the show. The day comes fast. You're woken before sunrise and washed by servants. Your armor is decorative brass and leather, more for appearance than safety. The blade is real. The courtyard has been transformed. Silk banners. Musicians. Bowls of figs and roasted meat for the guests. You wait behind a curtain, already sweating. Your opponent is a Thracian. Smaller than you. Fast. Quiet. He doesn't look at you until the last moment. Then he nods once. The music stops. The crowd hushes. You step into the ring. The senator raises a hand. Begin. The Thracian moves first. A feint. You parry. He spins. You duck. The crowd gasps. Sand kicks into your eyes. You blink. Block blind. Feel the sting of a cut on your arm. Then you hear it. Cheering. Your name. They're chanting your name. You strike. He slips. He counters. You slam into him with your shoulder. He stumbles. You raise your sword. He drops his. The senator stands. You wait. He lowers his hand. Spare him. The crowd erupts. You help the Thracian to his feet. He whispers something in his tongue. It sounds like gratitude, or maybe warning. That night you don't eat. You just sit in the dark, thinking of the Gaul, and the next match. After the match, things change again. You're moved from the straw mat to a wooden cot, given linen instead of wool. One of the servants calls you champion when no one is listening. You don't feel like one. The Thracian is gone by morning. Maybe reassigned, maybe sold, maybe not alive. You train alone for a few days. Footwork, endurance, forms with the sword until your hands blister again. Then the announcement comes. You've been invited to a public exhibition match in the provincial arena. A real one. Not a party, not a villa. A Roman-backed event. The senator beams when he says it. You'll make me proud, he says. You don't answer. Preparations begin immediately. A new trainer is brought in older, with a scar where his ear used to be. He teaches differently, no rhythm, no calls. Just instinct and speed. You spar with different opponents each day. One nearly dislocates your shoulder. Another cries mid-match. You beat them all. Each night you sleep deeper. Not from peace, but exhaustion, so complete your dreams fall silent. Finally, the day arrives. You're dressed in armor again, bronze polished to shine. Your blade is sharpened by someone who won't look you in the eye. The cart is waiting outside the villa. A covered cage with 2 guards. You step inside. The ride is long, bumpy, hot. You're given water once, a dry biscuit. No one speaks. When the cart stops, you're led into a stone corridor. The smell hits you, first blood, dust, and oil. Then the noise, distant now, but growing. Cheers, drums, horns. You pass holding cells. Other fighters sit with heads bowed or fists clenched. Some pray. One hums. Your cell is small, cold. A guard hands you a token, a carved piece of bone with your name scratched on it. A keepsake for the record. Or a tag for your body. Historians still argue whether gladiators were honored or exploited, whether the roar of the crowd meant glory or merely spectacle. You have no opinion. You're just tired. A horn sounds. A gate rises. The guard nods once. You walk into the sunlight. The arena opens around you like a roaring mouth. You grip your sword tighter and begin to walk forward. The sun blinds you for a moment as you step into the arena. You squint against the glare. The sand is hot underfoot, already soaked in the faded stains of past battles. The roar of the crowd rolls over you like a crashing tide, chanting, jeering, clapping hands in rhythm. You are not introduced. You are not welcomed. You are simply observed. Across the ring, another gate opens. He steps out slowly. A veteran. Older, thicker with muscle, scars crawling down his arms like roots. He wears minimal armor, just enough to keep him alive longer. His eyes don't blink as he stares at you. He doesn't see a person, he sees a task. You raise your sword. He doesn't. The horn sounds. He moves, fast. You barely bring your shield up in time. The clash stuns your arm. He follows with a knee to your ribs. You stumble. You roll. You rise. The crowd cheers. The fight flows. Minutes blur. Dust swirls with every movement. Blades catch sunlight, flickering like fire. He grunts with every swing. You breathe through clenched teeth. Your arm goes numb from blocking. You fake a stumble. He overreaches. You cut his thigh. He grunts louder. You're not winning. But you're still moving. And in this place, that's everything. Historians still debate whether death in the arena was common or a dramatic exception. Records were vague. Blood washed clean. Bones buried outside city walls. You don't think of history. You think of not falling. He charges. You sidestep. Slice low. He drops to one knee. The arena erupts. You raise your blade. He lowers his. You wait. The official steps forward, looks to the presiding magistrate. A hand rises. Thumb pointed sideways. Mercy. You lower your sword. He nods once. You are both let off separately. No words exchanged. In the tunnel, a medic presses a cloth to your arm. Another offers you water. You drink, then spit blood into the sand. The token with your name is returned to you. You hold it in your hand for a long time. That night, back in your holding cell, a breeze slips through the bars. It carries the scent of roasted meat, wine, sweat, and blood. You lie down on the stone floor. You close your eyes. You don't dream. You just breathe. And for now, that's enough. The stone beneath you cools slowly as the night deepens. Around you, the distant hum of torchlight, the soft scrape of sandals, the muted murmurs of guards sharing a flask. The chaos of the crowd has long since faded into memory. What remains is silence, slow, gentle, wide as the dark sea. You stretch your arms out, feeling the quiet ache of bruised muscle. The walls no longer feel like they're closing in. You know what tomorrow brings. You don't fear it. Because now, you've lasted a day no one thought you could. You face the worst, a galley, a pirate ship, a slave auction, a ring of blades, and you're still breathing. The air shifts against your cheek. It smells of olive oil and dust. A rat scuttles somewhere far off. You let it pass. You've fought worse things. In the distance, a gate creaks. Someone walks across the sand, not your concern. You turn your head the other way. Your name is no longer just a mark on bone. It's memory. Motion. Survival. You sigh. The cot creaks. Your eyes fall closed, not from fear, not from sorrow, but from the weight of the day. And the calm that finally, gently settles in behind it. Sleep finds you slowly, softly. No dreams, just peace. You're not free, but you're still here. And that somehow is enough.